喂，Hello everyone，各位家長大家好啊！咁啊，今日咧好榮幸咧就邀請到我哋英國嘅一個大學Royal Holloway 嘅一個教授Dr. Tan 咧今日會 join 我哋咧一齊去做一個咁樣嘅 webinar 嘅。Hello Dr. Tan，Hello。
Hello Howard， 大家好。
Oh, very very nice Cantonese, and we're so honored to have you with us today, and sure a lot of parents who are looking at Royal Holloway for the amazing music faculty are very interested to hear more directly from your side. And as someone who has worked with a lot of parents, Royal Holloway is a very renowned name in the music space. So I'm very honored to have you with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, great. And I just want to start off with something, very basic. And a lot of parents will ask me when they see me in the first instance, they will ask me, why should I apply to, let's say, Royal Holloway's music faculty when there are other music conservatoires out there, like the Royal Academy of Music, Royal College of Music. There are lots of other, like say Trinity Laban in London. There's loads of other conservatories that are not really big university in the sense of their research. So can you elaborate a little bit about the main difference there and what kind of students you're looking for in terms of for Royal Holloway?
Sure. So I can begin by saying that people think we are a very decent university, and you can look at this in terms of our QS rankings, which have just come out. We are ranked 37th globally in the world, and after conservatoires, so places like Royal College, Royal Academy, Guildhall, we are number 2, which really makes us the number 1 department for a general music degree. We are also number 1 in the UK for research, if you don't count conservatoires, which have its own separate program. So you mentioned conservatoires, and I'll have to say that if you want to have a career, if you think your daughter or your son wants to have a career as a superstar violin soloist, we are not the place for you. Okay, go straight to conservatoire. But if you go to conservatoire, they will probably tell you your chance of becoming a superstar violin is 0.00001. Yeah. And the thing is, I went through part conservatoire. I went to the Royal Academy of Music at some point in time, although eventually I moved towards academia and musicology, especially ethnomusicology, which I'm happy to talk about. So I think going to a conservatoire prepares you for a very specialized career in performance. But pretty much that is what you learn. And the pathways, if you're not going to be a major superstar, which is 99.99999%, is probably teaching and maybe a little bit of concertizing. So if you want to have this career, it's very fulfilling. That's where you should go. But if you want to try many other different things, to teach, to do production, to do music editing, to run your enterprise, to perform as well as compose, as well as have a work in arts administration, arts leadership. You have a different, you have so many more options. You could also leave music altogether, work in copyright and law, or cultural production, or heritage industries, be a curator. A general music degree is where I think you will get a lot more out of the experience. And I can tell you all about our degree. If you go to our website, it tells everything about our 5 different pathways in musicology and ethno, in performance. And we don't just do Western classical music. We also do things like pop performance. We have a few cantopop meets R&B stars coming out who have been getting, some of our students who have been getting gigs in London. Musical theater. We also do Korean percussion. I teach it. Japanese folk music, Finnish and Russian folk music, Sundanese gamelan. We are the only set in the UK where you can play Indonesian Sundanese gamelan. We have an Andean band. It's the only set of instruments in the UK, and our Andean band has performed in Stonehenge and in important ceremonies. Yeah. But we also have, a very strong Western classical foundation where if you want to do performance, but you think that's not the only thing you want to do, you can join our program, which has a kind of side-by-side sound sharing with a major London orchestra. Some of our performers have gone on to record with the BBC and so on and so forth. But you can also be looking at music analysis, looking at, and this is the part that I'm really excited about. Our courses offers just so many options in music and literature, music and politics, music, health and well-being. This is a new one. Thinking about how music affects our everyday life in terms of music and Tai Chi or music therapy. We didn't offer music therapy, but an introduction to that, because music therapy is always only taught at the master's level. And we consider things like music and climate change, really important. What is your violin made of, right? Is it from a sustainable material? What is carbon off? Do you when you are traveling for all your international concerts, do you think about your carbon trail, right? And I'm starting a new module on gastromusicology, music and food, very popular. So we offer all of this huge diversity in a cute little Victorian cottage that is nestled within a campus that was designed designed in inspiration of a chateau. In
beautiful.
Yeah. Very beautiful campus. Although I have to say some buildings need more maintenance than other buildings. Yeah. So if you come to me, I'll tell you which buildings to set your halls.
There are historic buildings, so you really can't do.
Well, expect central heating issues and plumbing, but I would say enjoy the campus, but stay in a hall that is more modern to parents. Yes. But we have a very gorgeous chapel, picture gallery. Actual tour groups, from the UK and around the world come to our picture gallery just to look at the paintings. There are very special paintings, and there's always there's a security guard post. Whenever we have concerts there, some guests will just trip over and alarm will go up because they're very precious paintings. So yeah, and even a TV series was, quite a few TV series were filmed on campus, Downton Abbey, and I could go on and on, but the thing is, it's a historic campus with modern facilities where you live. That's the most important bit.
Yes.
And then we are 40 minutes from central London and the South Bank where all the concerts are taking place.
Right. Okay.
So I always tell people this is, one of the second unique selling point, apart from our diversity and our high rankings, is that it's a very, very safe place to live in. Very safe. But you have access to London, so you don't have to deal with going home late at night in a dodgy suburb. But you actually go home to a very safe, very green, calm and quiet and conducive environment. And we have very good facilities. We're an all Steinway school.
Wow.
So all our pianos are Steinways or Boston, and we have recently, I think 1.5 years ago, opened a new engineer suite with state-of-the-art studios for pop production, and you can record a small orchestra. We have professional engineers who
Sound
can
engineers.
So apart from all of this, the third thing I will say is, our community. We are like a big family.
Wow.
We have a very tight-knit music student community who help one another, and our staff are one of the most approachable ones in the UK. Or you just send an email to a professor, you apply within 2 to 3 days, and we really care about one another. I care about my colleagues very much as well, and that's the most important thing. And the community is not just the music department. We have so many ensembles. So I would say a lot of people who first come to us, within the first 3 months, to be honest, they will get very, very overwhelmed because it's just too much. Too much. We have 6 choirs.
Wow.
And several bands. We have got 3 different kinds of ensembles, from the orchestra to a sinfonietta to a new music ensemble. There's also an early ensemble, and several musical theater groups, mini opera group, Korean percussion band, Sundanese gamelan, Andean band. And if that's not enough, you go to the student union, you tell them, I want to do this, they give you funding. You have to apply, do it professionally. They give you funding, you can do whatever you want. We had this, there was Layla Woozier, who was a former alum. She decided that she wanted to play trombone, and there was no music for trombone in a small ensemble setting. So she thought, I'm just going to create a band to make music for me. And she applied for funding, she got it, and she created this band.
Wow.
And ran for a few years. And she has gone on to have a really exciting career writing about race and music and performance in the UK. So, these are the main things. Why do you want to come to us? Why are we special? Why are we different from Number one, rankings. Yeah. Number two, the huge diversity. A lot of people come to us and they think, I'm just going to play the violin and do it very well and graduate, and maybe I'll become a sought-after music teacher. They change their minds. And they're like, actually, you know what? I think I can write video games instead. I can bring my violin into the video game world. Or I just taught a module on music and food, and a lot of my students decided to submit ASMR videos. I don't know if you're... ASMR. Yeah, so they recorded themselves eating food and putting the mics near their mouths and then chopping food and making a soundtrack.
Almost sound engineering and some music therapy as well,
Yes, exactly. We have a few people who have gone on to do music therapy. So the huge range of options, that's number two. Number three is our facilities and the beautiful campus and safe campus. And, our practice studios open till very, very late, 12 a.m. The library opens 24 hours, 7. And then fourth, our community. What I can say is we believe in students, and we want them to feel after they have graduated, they are able to contribute meaningfully to the musical ecosystem.
Right.
It's not just about top marks. We don't want to just think about producing superstar soloists or composers. We do have a few, but it's everyone will find their own niche, and everyone will find their own way of contributing to society at different levels when they graduate. Some will be teachers, some will become, working as high-ranking executives at Netflix, and others will do a mix of everything.
Records labels and stuff like that. Music business is very, very, very hot right now as well.
Yeah, I mean, I can just tell you from our final year projects, how creative. A lot of the final year projects, right, came from people who thought they're going to be concert pianists or big concert pianists, but actually they changed their mind. For example, I have somebody who wrote about K-pop in Asia.
Oh, wow.
I've got another one who decided to do an ethnography of a music instrument shop in the UK. And look at the business of a small music instrument shop. What kind of music instruments? How do you do repair? What does the business model look like? I've got somebody who is a composer who decided to look at recordings of melting glaciers and create a work that is a critique of environmental damage.
Yes.
And we've got others who have designed music for video games. Yet others have written music for the theater, musical theater. Some people have gone on to do master's degree. A lot of our undergrads actually have such a good time that they actually stay on to do a master's degree, because it's just, you can't get everything in just 3 years. So people stay for a fourth year. 7 years, 8 years for a PhD. Anyway, I'll stop there.
No, and as you said, there's a lot of other music choices or courses other than just being a conservatoire pianist or being a soloist. There's so much more to the depth of this, and as you personally are are into research and into the demographics of music that is so important to this day and age as well. I just want to know if you're looking for music students coming in to Royal Holloway, what actually are the requirements you want them to have? Let's say, do you need them to have A-level music or certain GCSE music to have that background knowledge of music theory? And what kind of level of music theory are you looking for before you can start on the very basic undergraduate courses, and then is there like a selection process for auditions and stuff like that? If you want to go through, let's say for as previously mentioned, a choir. I have a current student who is an offer holder looking at the choir programs, which is quite attractive, I know. Yeah.
Sure. So we are a university rather than conservatoire. That means that you probably have to go through the UCAS system. Grades sadly are where the bottom line falls. However, ideally we would like you to have an A-level in music. But if you don't, that's also fine. We will be looking at alternative qualifications. Then we'll start looking at audition videos, and we'll look at your personal statement. But because we're very, very inclusive, we don't just take the traditional student who plays piano and violin or flute, but we have had guzheng players, we have had kanun players. They come with very strong classical traditions in global forms, and we are very open to this, and we are very, very international in our outlook. This is really something we believe in. I mean, at the same time, we believe in different voices being represented in the field of Western art music. My own research is actually on Wang Yujia and Lang Lang and the representation of East Asian performers in the global arts world. So it works both ways, but we also welcome guzheng players and pipa players and people. Well, we haven't yet found a Chinese opera or Cantonese opera singer, but actually we have at the master's level, semi-professional, and they actually wrote a thesis about Cantonese has so many tones, right, and how the tones happen. So we have that as well, which I think is not something any other university can provide. Maybe only one other. We don't really have an East Asian specialist. So we offer this, and so basically it's your A-level grades. If you do not have A-level in music, if you do not, then we'll look at equivalent B.Tech, or we'll look at the audition videos. If you don't have a grade 8 ABRSM, that's fine. We'll look at audition in terms of theory as well. If you feel that, especially for people who have different backgrounds, we take in students who are really good at computers and digital audio workstations, and they don't have grade 7 theory, and this is fine. The new world doesn't require everyone to read and write only staff notation. I'm an ethnomusicologist, 民族音乐学. So I believe that there are so many different learning systems. It doesn't always have to be Bach, Beethoven, and Mozart. You can learn guqin and guqin ancient Chinese theory. That can bring you with a whole set of knowledge systems, and we recognize that. But if you want to also have Western art music theory, thinking that I play guqin or I play the kora, which is an East African instrument, okay, we can catch you up. So we hold the remedial lessons in case you need it or you want it. Because we take in a lot of local students also who don't read and write music in the same way, but they have deep knowledge on how to deal with software that students who read and write music know nothing about, but the future needs people to handle digital audio workstations and software, Pro Tools or AI. Speaking of AI, side note, we have one of the top AI specialists and AI music specialist, Dr. Zubin Kanga, who works with cyborgs in music, and his work has been reported in the New York Times. He's looking at the frontiers of human intelligence and artificial as well as robot intelligence. So this is a live discussion, but we also have the world-leading expert in music and video games. Game music invented the discipline, Dr. Tim Summers, who's absolutely lovely. His work has been translated into Chinese and Japanese all around the world. So you have two already, I could go on and on our staff. Professor Mary Dahlia, our head of performance, she runs her own festival in Ireland, and there are many opportunities for students to play there and to do concert managing. But she's also a very famous concert pianist who specializes in contemporary music. We want our students to come and not just think, I'm just going to be any other person who plays Chopin. I was person 20 years ago. I came to the UK as an international student from Singapore, and I thought, I just want to play Rachmaninoff Piano Concerto No. 2. In the end,
10,000 people.
Yeah, you have to find your own niche. You cannot just be another Chopin pianist, and you do a lot of concerts, small concerts. That's also great, but then you want to be doing something special. So people come here and they start thinking, you know what? I don't just want to be a pianist. I want to be a pianist who specializes in new repertoire, or specializes in working in a very unusual format, or I premiere stuff. Like we have a Japanese pianist who came here thinking she's going to play a lot of Mozart. In the end, she's carving out her name being a champion of Japanese composers, and that is what's getting her concerts. Nobody wants to hear another Japanese pianist playing Mozart. They want to hear another Japanese pianist playing new Japanese music, or the music of the Miyazaki films, reinterpreted or writing. So we want people who come to us. Maybe you have a very traditional mindset and you think, oh, our beautiful buildings go back to the 19th, 18th centuries, and you think we're very traditional. We are not traditional at all.
Nice.
You come here, you see the building, but actually we offer a lot more. And people come to us and they change their minds about, no, I won't say change, they open their minds. You start off thinking, I'm just going to do performance and, I will just study scores. No, there's so much more when you come to us. That's and good. Not just in terms of the things you can study and learn and become as a person, but actually we encourage you to think about where you are in the community and where you are in the world.
And explore many new careers, some of them yet to be born.
Yeah, exactly. Careers that don't exist yet. Yeah.
And just we are on the topic of careers.
Yes.
Is there any, like, just for the parents out there and students who are deciding, is there any good, very, very recommended, let's say, intern or shadowing experience that you usually recommend your students to go and do? Because I know the more traditional one will be going to intern at an orchestra or something like that. But I think Royal Holloway has much more to offer than just going to an orchestra.
Yes, that is correct. However, it is not done as part of a credited structure. So, we don't actually set up like a job contract in a formal internship, unlike some other sort of business courses.
Okay.
But what happens is organically our staff have many different contacts. We don't offer placement, but we have these networks, and we encourage our students to contact them directly, or get a reference from your tutor and so on and so forth. So a lot of there are a few things. First of all, in terms of field trips and experiences, we work with groups such as local schools as part of our Thinking Music collaboration, where students who take this course called Music Pedagogy. They will go to local primary schools and gain experience working with local school children, leading choirs, leading rehearsals, teaching, and more. And part of this includes a SEND program, where you work with students from backgrounds where they are dealing with learning difficulties or
special learning needs. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. So we have that, but we also have sharing of stands with a major London orchestra Mozart players, with professional ensembles. We work behind the scenes visits to Abbey Road Studios, where the Beatles made their iconic recordings. We also have a few trips organized with the Foundling Museum, where you can go and visit the archives and talk to curators, musical instrument shops as well, and businesses. But we also have visited one of our lecturers, Dr. Dan Elphick, is a specialist on music and the Holocaust. He has brought them to the Imperial War Museum, for example. I take my students to different places to do ethnography, but in some modules you have to do your own ethnography, find your own path. I work with East Asian ensembles and East Asian communities, but also migrants in the UK. So we have all of this and a lot more going on. A lot of our students, have during the summer gained work experience and placements with Universal Studios, Sony Music, BBC Radio, the Royal Opera House, Netflix, the South Bank, many more major Chinatown art spaces for a lot of Asian students.
Yes.
But you have to fight for them.
Yes.
We don't just give it to you like that.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is part of the training. We will teach you how to write your CV. We have a whole careers department that will tell you how to deal with the interview, how to pitch, how to design a website, even how to do LinkedIn. But you have to do it yourself.
Right.
And that is the difference between a student who will just sit and everything comes to them, as opposed to one who's going out there to doing it.
They need to do it in the job market anyway. So it's time to train them up. I used to have a close relationship, well, not really close. I volunteer with the London Mozart players when I was young as well, and I know one of the previous CEOs, Dr. I forgot his name, but his first name is Flynn, which is the CEO at London Mozart Players. So I know them very well, and it's a very, very much diverse community that they are doing music education. And what you said about pedagogy, they do a lot of outreach to schools to send SEN students, which I appreciate greatly. And I think students who are looking to be music teachers or educators in general should learn, and will be able to get a lot from these experiences. So thank you so much for sharing about the shadowing or placements that your students are able to do. Is there any collaborations that Royal Holloway often does, in terms of with big musicians or orchestras? I know there's masterclass going on a lot of the time, but is there anything over and beyond the concept of just going to a masterclass? And is there any big collaborations with, let's say, the studios you mentioned that students should be aware of?
So there are not official collaborations that run on forever, but every year we have different groups come in and out, and we have an international concert series, and usually we plan a collaboration, a workshop, a series of workshop. But we work with a professional ensemble, Chroma Ensemble, who come in. They are professional musicians who premiere contemporary music, and they actually play and they workshop and run through budding composers' pieces. So our students' pieces, you get them workshopped as a composer with a professional ensemble. And then we have stand sharing. We do concerts at St. John Smith Square. We also have depending on research projects, some research projects are 6 months, some are 3 years. So for example, our outgoing head of the department, Professor Stephen Rose, basically has been working with a lot of the national trust properties, and he's been able to bring a lot of exchange. There are many different levels. Sometimes it's a small workshop, sometimes it's a postdoc who does a funded job. Dig up archives in an 18th century house. So there are many different levels. The thing though is you have to come here, you have to figure out where to put yourself in the many different paths and opportunities, and you have to work it out yourself. It is not, okay, we will give you the buffet, but you have to choose what you eat, and you cannot eat everything.
Right.
A little bit of everything in the first year. But then otherwise you will get indigestion, and if you have to figure out what you want to do for your diet, and you have to invest in yourself, and that is a very, very important thing we believe in. We don't want students to just come here and take. I know you pay fees and everything, but take and give back to your community, and take and offer and contribute, because when you graduate, you don't just go with a certificate, or you have you have your network, you have a witness. We want you to be investing in your own education, not just financially, but emotionally, intellectually, performatively. And it's not a holiday.
And we'll just also would like to ask a little bit, because a lot of parents ask me about the scholarship programs for Royal Holloway. I know you run a lot of different scholarship programs, and they're quite competitive. How can some of these be a lot of our students are from Hong Kong or from China, which is international students. Are they able to apply for these scholarships, and what should they do to get ready if they really want to have the honor and have the financial support?
Yes. So I will have to say, realistically, most of the music scholarships in the UK do not really provide a lot of financial support if you're an international student. But what they do are two things. A, they're very good for CV building, to say that you're a music scholar. B, they also provide opportunities. So we have orchestral and choral scholarships. They are not huge amounts in terms of finances. I can't remember the amounts. I think it's maybe a couple.
You look it up.
But what's important is that you are given an official role and title as an orchestral scholar, where you will learn how to manage, be part of the management of the orchestra, or be part of the choir. And we have several choirs. If you join the choir of Royal Holloway, which is chapel choir, this involves, it's very grueling. You have to wake up at 6 a.m. and every day and prepare for service. You get to record with the BBC and go on tour. Many wonderful opportunities. You get to conduct, but it's you also have to put in the work. But it's a very, very good thing to have on your profile. So I would see the scholarships not as financial incentive, but rather experience, CV, networking, and really, having that position of responsibility from a relatively early age. I mean, there have been people who have, signed up for some of these schemes, and they actually found like, oh gosh, it's too much. There's a lot of responsibilities, and they struggle. But then we will support them, and they get through it. And just to say that scholarships aren't necessarily like, oh, you give me money to do this for free.
No. And great that you address this and be able to point out the benefits of being a music scholar at Royal Holloway, because maybe the people have misconceptions about studying and then getting a scholarship. But I think the music scholarship is really to get your foot into the industry earlier.
Exactly. And I mean, I wish I could do something about this, but it's very hard as an international student to get a fully funded, fees or expenses, living expenses scholarship. Yeah, most of these
unless they go into academia, like academia research, like you do.
Okay, so postgraduate scholarships.
Postgraduate.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, so those exist, but at the undergraduate level, it's quite hard.
No problem. We have quite a lot of students who really just want to be able to get involved in more of the orchestra, let's say, or more of the masterclass or the opportunity. So I feel like the scholarships they shouldn't miss out on, and then the selection they should be a part of. And this is us promoting that process to them and letting them look in advance before they get their A-levels ready and get ready to choose your choice, your university as the first choice.
I mean, I would say if you can, by all means apply for the choral and the orchestral scholarships.
It's great. And okay, I think that's about it. I'll do like I'll just intro. I'll also just wrap up what Dr. Tan just said, and as a music student who is looking for Royal Holloway and other music degrees, the main difference is because that Royal Holloway offers so much other than just performance in terms of the music degree, in terms of the provision and community that is so different from the Royal Conservatoires or Royal Academy of Music that people are so familiar with. And not everyone can be a soloist, so it's very important to equip yourself with the skills and the mindset that you are able to do more than just performance in terms of production, in terms of music traditions, that you are offering one of the most diverse course in the UK as a music faculty, and also you have such a wide range of scholarships and orchestra and bands that is not limited to Western classical music. There's Chinese traditional music, there's gamelan, which is Indonesian, there's other East Asian and also the amount of experience and connections that the university is able to get you as a experience while you're studying there, to be able to grasp the connections into the real world easier and not just study all day in your room. So I think these are the most important points to highlight today, and thank you so much for your time, Dr. Tan.
Not at all. If I could also just say one other thing, it's easy to tell us apart from conservatoires. We do very different things. Other people might be curious to see how we are different from other music departments in universities. And I would say a lot of music departments in the UK they're very good departments. And I know I have so many colleagues everywhere who are doing the best jobs they can, and they're wonderful people. But I would say that our department really has the full range. Most music departments would have like 1 or 2 or 3 specialisms in terms of pathways. We have 5 or 6. And I think I would say a lot of people come to us thinking they want to do one thing, and they suddenly realize there's a whole wealth of possibilities.
Other than just performance, or because it's very easy in our culture to think of performance or teaching as the main career path, but really it's a journey of helping them to discover what's beyond their knowledge of A-level music, or beyond their grade 8s in their theory exams. So as also previously mentioned, it's not necessary that you need a grade 8 theory or A-level music. You just need the passion and the knowledge, let's say in programming or other skills that are able to fit into the music program.
Yes, and if you have had a music education, that's always good. But what is offered at A-level is just this tiny bit. What we take you from that little inch of an inch to a whole broader spectrum of opportunities. Yeah.
Right. So if you have any questions, any parents have any questions, please do not hesitate to get in touch with us, Britannia here. My name is Howard, and I will also be able to pass it to Dr. Tan and be able to communicate with you whilst you're considering Royal Holloway as your first choice of music university. And we're happy to answer any questions later. Thank you so much for your time today, Dr. Tan, and thank you so much for joining us on the call while you're in the UK, and I'll look forward to your next visit in Hong Kong.
Yes, thank you so much for your time, Howard.
No problem. Thank you.
It's great to chat with you.